this little device here. It's Muse 2, which is in EEG. It measures electrical activity in the brain, electroencephalogram, EEG, and it works with translating that through a range of algorithms, so you can see some of what's happening in the brain to a degree. I mean, this is a kind of fairly decent bit of kit, but it's great fun. I love it, and I use it from time to time to see what's possible. I've got 2 apps that I work with it, which is the Muse 2 app and also one called Muse Direct, both of which give me different information, so I can look at different aspects of brain function when I'm doing stuff, and it gives me a real-time measurement through my phone. So for example, I use it with breath work. I use it with breath work and with meditation, with the mind mastery skills that I work with and share. So I find it fabulous for playing those, playing around with the breath work. What I can do is I can do a practice and then look back at afterwards at what's been happening in my brain. If I've got my eyes closed, if I've got my eyes open, I'm doing eyes open work, then I can get some real time feedback on what's happening, so I can notice things happening. And I find it's quite fun. I find it fun, and I find it useful little metric. I mean, ultimately for me, any meditative practice, what we're looking for really is feeling inside and noticing the arising of emotional and mental formations. So we're looking for the kind of bubbles of translation of sensation into emotion and the movement of emotion, or the bubbles of thought arising, coming up as thoughts, and not identifying with those. So it's a non-involvement with those activities that allows cessation. And breath is, of course, a really, really good way when we understand how to work with breath effectively. Conscious breath work. And again, there are many, many, many different conscious breathwork practices. So, being specific, we're talking about pacifying or mind calming breath practices, or practices of creating mental transparency. And those particular practices, which are mind mastery and conscious breathwork practices, those are the ones that we can work with really well with this. I think it's fun as well to do energizing practices and see what's going on in the brain. It's a nice tool. So if you've got some spare dollar to spend and you want to get a little bit of feedback mechanism for your brain, this is a fairly useful piece of kit. There it is. There's the Muse 2. It's on there at the moment. So it's a nice little one. I recommend playing around with that. I mean, ultimately, I'd like a much better piece of kit. I'd make a bigger, better piece of kit than this, but I don't have the. Yeah, we'll get there at some point and do some really interesting research on breath work and how it affects the brain. There is some, of course, but there's not enough, because the big companies that want to make money are not going to pay for doing research on breath work, are they? Because you can't sell it in that way. You can't sell a packet of breath work. It's not going to happen. You can come and work with me. You can pay me. I'll train you in doing stuff, of course. And but you can't make a product out of it. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? Let's get some research on this.